Hello everyone, I'm Garima Agrawal. I've scored rank 241 in UPSC CSE 2017 this year. My optional was philosophy and by profession I'm an engineer. I've done my B.Tech and MS from IIIT Hyderabad. This is my first sincere attempt and today here in this talk I would be discussing majorly three issues. First, I'll briefly discuss my struggle story, the little challenges, apprehensions, fears that I had before starting for this preparation. Second, I'll discuss the preparation strategy, prelims, mains and interview. And lastly, I'll discuss what beyond studies, because all of us know that UPSC is not just about studies, it is much more than that. It is about right attitude as well. So let us come to the first part, the challenges. So I'm sure all of us, all the candidates, when we come to Delhi or whenever we decide to start preparing for civil services, we come with these fears and apprehensions like coming from a small town, coming from a Hindi medium background and facing CSAT, coming from engineering background and being able to write answers well and being able to write essays. And trust me, I was the biggest victim of all these fears and apprehensions. Of course, when I took this decision, I was excited, I was full of positivity and energy, but there were these challenges and fears that did keep haunting me. So the first being was that coming from a small town. So I come from Khargone. It is one of the remotest towns of Madhya Pradesh. And despite that, I could clear this exam in hardly one and a half year of preparation. And that shows, friends, that whatever background you come from, be it rural, urban, tribal, it doesn't matter. It is not a hindrance to your success. Only thing that matters is confidence. So in my journey from Khargone till here, it was challenging. There were ups and downs, but what helped me sail through was my confidence. Second thing, I have done my entire schooling from my hometown in state board and in Hindi medium. Yes, and despite that, I wrote all my competitive exams including IIT JEE and UPSC in English. And still, I could get a 150 plus in essay and 190 plus in interview. Now here I would like to elaborate a little that this journey was not so simple. It was challenging. Especially in initial years of my college, it was hard. The teachers would go like acute and obtuse angle. I will still be stuck at adhik kon and sam kon. Even during initial time of UPSC's preparation, I had a lot of problem in terms of speed, both reading speed as well as writing speed. I took around 3 hours to read the Hindu newspaper. I couldn't even imagine reading more than one newspaper because only one took a lot of time. Writing was also a problem. So I think there are three kind of people who appear for civil services. First category, who come from English medium background and then they decide to write the exam in English. They are sorted. The second category, who come from Hindi medium background, both graduation and schooling, and then they write the exam in Hindi. They have their own set of challenges in terms of resources, sources, material, but still there is no dilemma. But then there is third category of civil services aspirants. These are the people who do their schooling from regional language or Hindi. Then they do their graduation in English, especially engineering. And when they decide to prepare for UPSC, they are confused. They are in a dilemma what to choose. Because we have lost touch with our regional language in Hindi. And English we are not that comfortable with. So all our life, we have been writing answers in Hindi in school. All 4 years of engineering, only thing we bothered about was Java, C++ and not English. And now we have to write 9 papers back to back in 4 days for mains. How did I cope up with it? I think 3 simple steps. First, practice. Reading practice, newspaper and news shows. I stick to the Hindu newspaper. Apart from that, I did watch a lot of news shows, especially Big Picture of Rajya Sabha. It will help you a lot, especially in interview. Second thing, answer writing practice. It is all the more important for our category of students who have not really written much earlier, especially in this language. So regular answer writing practice and a test series during prelims to mains will help. And third thing, again, that turn your weakness into strength. Because I was a slow reader, that became my strength. I read my questions carefully in prelims, and that's why my accuracy improved. I read my questions carefully and slowly in mains, that's why I wrote what was demand of the question. So sometimes we need not be afraid of our weakness, they might turn into a strength. Third challenge or apprehension, that I am an engineering student from IIIT Hyderabad, and yes, it was a tough decision for me to take up civil services and not to take up any lucrative job offers or PhD offers after I had already done MS and an internship from abroad. While the decision of why I took civil services is very personal, it should vary from person to person. I am not going to tell you that this should be your reason. But I will definitely have two suggestions. First, once you have taken the decision, please have belief in it, faith in it. Don't keep revisiting your decision. Don't be distracted by the other people and what achievements they are having in their life, in their private sector life. And second thing, give at least one attempt with 100% concentration and focus without simultaneously preparing for any other government exam or private job interview. At least one attempt. After that, you might think of preparing parallelly with your private job, but it deserves at least one full year of sincere preparation. Third thing, that is performance pressure. I think this challenge everybody faces, whichever background you come from. Performance, to perform fast, perform better, एक ही साल में निकालना है, under 100 rank निकालना है, अगर नहीं हुआ तो क्या हुआ, if I don't clear, I'll be labeled as failure of life. And I know this problem will be harder for those people who have had failed attempts earlier. In my case, it was not UPSC, but a failed attempt at another competitive exam earlier where I missed the cutoff by 1 mark. And that failure kept haunting me before prelims. But how did I come over with that pressure or fear of failure was through a friend of mine who told me two things, and I hope it helps you as well. First thing he said, that yes, this exam is important, but it is not bigger than you. You should have a personality independent of any IIT, IAS or IPS tag. And second thing, always remember the motivation or real motivation that forced you to take this decision. And in my case, this decision was not to prove anyone, but to do a certain kind of work that I wanted to do for the society. So if you keep reminding yourself of these two facts, it should help you in releasing your pressure and tension. Now this was the first part. Reason why I discussed these challenges that I faced or the fears is to let you know that if I can do it, anybody can, and it's normal to have these fears. The toppers, selected candidates, everybody starts with this beginning, and it is normal. Coming to the preparation strategy part. First, I will discuss prelims and mains, because I honestly don't think they are entirely different as far as general studies is concerned. As far as essential book list is concerned, I think most of you are already aware of the list. So I'll rather focus on the tricks and strategies that I did and that worked for me and can help you optimize your study and help you clear the exam within 1 year or 1.5 years. First thing, integrated study plan for prelims and mains. What do I mean by that? It has two aspects. First, that you should have a timetable monthly, weekly, daily. So for example, in my case, we had prelims on 18th of June 2017. While I kept hearing a lot of toppers say that prelims सिर्फ 1 महीने में हो जाता है, 2 महीने में हो जाता है, but I genuinely believe if it's your first sincere attempt, you have to give at least 4-5 dedicated months just for GS. So when I had the exam in June, I started with January. I gave first month just for history, say modern history, world history, ancient history. Second month, geography. So on first of every month, I decided what I am going to study this month, what is going to be my weekly and daily targets, which sources I am going to read it from, and which test I am going to solve. And with that thing having clear in my mind, I started my month. Second thing, why I call it integrated prelims and mains, that while studying a chapter, you should remember demand of the exam, both prelims and mains. When I started my preparation, I made this blunder that I used to read a chapter like a novel without really realizing कि इससे questions क्या आएगा. पर ऐसा नहीं होगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू आर डूइंग अ टॉपिक ऑफ पॉलिटी ऑर्डिनेंस फ्रॉम M. Lakshmikant, you should read the constitutional provisions for prelims, article 123 and everything. But at the same time, please do read D. Cooper case and D.C. Wadhwa case for mains. And when you couple these two things with current affairs, in this case there was a Krishna Kumar Singh case of Bihar, your topic will be complete. अब ऑर्डिनेंस से आपसे प्रीलिम्स, मेंस, इंटरव्यू में कोई भी सवाल पूछा जाए, you will be able to handle it. Similarly, you should study for each subject. Second thing, revision via test. All of us have to agree that revision is the key to success in this exam. But after you finish reading one book in a week, it gets boring or exhausting to reread that book again immediately. So how do I revise? What I did, I took help of sectional tests, both prelims and mains. So I would read a book, say physical geography, for a week, then I will solve a test paper based on that particular subject or section of the subject, and then based on my performance I'll realize ki okay, I need to reread this particular chapter, or maybe this particular chapter I need to refer to more sources because what I've done is not sufficient. And similarly, you have to do that for mains. Friends, the time between prelims and mains is the most crucial time of this examination. You just have 3 months and you have to cover entire syllabus. I think good test series, especially sectional test series, both GNC and optional, can really help you a lot. It will not only help you improve your answer writing and time management, but will also help you finish the entire syllabus within that 3 months. So what I planned is to write 2 tests every 15 days, 1 GS, 1 optional. So because of that, I could finish my subjects, I could revise them, write the test, and that automatically increased my confidence level. Third thing, previous year question papers. While we do run after a lot of coaching material, test, mock test, I think the most important guide in this exam is previous year UPSC questions, be it CSAT, prelims, mains or optional. Especially for optional, there are certain optionals like my philosophy, 30 to 40% of the questions are repeated from previous year. And in that case, it's very imperative that you are thorough with previous 10 years question papers. And even prelims, in one or other way, they do end up repeating the questions. So you should be very thorough with it. Now, fourth thing, current affairs. Current affairs is one thing everybody is scared about. It has become the single most important section of this exam, right from prelims till interview. How do you handle it? So I'll briefly tell you my strategy. First, reading newspaper with operatic regularity, very regularly. I read only one newspaper, The Hindu, but regularly. I did not make notes because I did not have enough time, but then how do you revise them? So I stick to one monthly magazine of current affairs and revise them along with mains 365 for mains. That second thing I did. Third thing, for prelims what you can do is use some innovative techniques like if you find some fact important for prelims in newspaper, just write it on a sticky note and stick it in front of your study table so that you keep revisiting it and remembering it. For example, I used to keep getting confused between Wassenaar Agreement, MTCR and Australia Group. So जिस दिन newspaper में तीनों का आया था, I wrote it down on a sticky note, stick it, and then eventually I remembered the fact very well. Fourth thing, for mains what I did for current affairs, that I tried to write 2 answers every day based on the editorial of the newspaper of the day. There are a lot of online platforms available that give you questions based on the newspaper. Choose any of them, practice at least 2 questions based on that editorial. So it will serve you 2 purposes, one answer writing and B notes of current affairs. So by the time of mains, I had 6 to 7 notebooks full of answers just based on the newspaper and current affairs. So this is current affairs. Then study smart. जब से मैंने ये तैयारी शुरू की है, कई सारी टॉपर्स की वीडियोस देखी है, सब कहते हैं स्टडी स्मार्ट, पर आई वुड लाइक टू गो वन स्टेप फर्दर टू डिफाइन व्हाट डज इट मीन. स्टडिंग स्मार्ट मीन्स स्टडिंग while being mentally alert and keeping in mind requirement of the exam. I would just illustrate through one example. While we do international organizations for prelims, there is one organization called Indian Ocean Rim Association. इस association के 21 member states है. अब इसे तैयार करने के लिए a normal strategy would be to mug up names of all 21 member states. Trust me, it will take 1 hour and you will end up forgetting 4 to 5 names. But a smart strategy would be to just locate it on the map and observe the names of those 2-3 countries which are located on Indian Ocean but are not members of Indian Ocean Rim Association. In this case, my friends, it is Pakistan and Myanmar. So now your job becomes much easier. आपको 21 नाम नहीं, सिर्फ 2 नाम याद रखने हैं. Just based on that information, you will be able to solve any question of prelims or mains. Now, let's come to essay and optional. Trust me, these two are the pivotal factors in qualifying mains and even in your final selection. Essay को हम अक्सर ignore कर देते हैं, time नहीं होता है, but it is very scoring. In my case also, I did not have time to prepare for it. Only thing I did that I made a list of quotes based on 15 to 20 most probable topics that can be asked in essay. So from farmers to women to inequality, science tech, I had 2 quotes ready for each subject in the essay. And second thing, practice at least 2 to 3 essays before you go for the final exam, so that you can manage your time well to be able to write 2 essays in 3 hours. Now, strategy of writing the essay would be twofold. First, being comprehensive, and third, be original. Comprehensive would mean that your essay should be multidimensional. It should cover as many dimensions of the topic as possible. For example, I attempted the new woman topic and tried to cover dimensions from social, political, economic, cultural, environment to international, and then covered each topic one by one. And second would be being original. It's very important for essay. At least your introduction and conclusion should reflect who you are, what do you think of the topic. It should not be a very hissy-pitty introduction. You can just talk about something that you feel personally about the topic. For example, in this year, the topic of new woman, my introduction for a page was like, what does new woman mean to me? And I said that new woman to me is the woman who tried to break the glass ceiling in oldest democracy of the world. I was referring to Hillary Clinton. Then new woman to me is the woman who is chief priest of the temple which was hitherto closed for women. So something like that gives a good flair, good beginning, and that grows interest of the examiner in your essay. Coming to optional, again consolidated notes and test. These 2 things can help you the most. Without getting into my strategy for philosophy optional that I can maybe discuss later, here I would just suggest that try to consolidate all the materials, standard books, notes into one, so that you can have multiple revisions during mains, and do write test so that you can manage your time well. Apart from that, for mains specifically, there is this very important debate of quality versus quantity, whether we should focus more on quality of answer or in attempting more number of questions. I think it is mix of both. You should try and attempt all the questions with good quality. So I personally left questions worth 120 marks. That's the biggest blunder I did in mains. But despite that, I know friends who attempted all the questions of all the papers but did not get interview call. That somehow does show that quality of answers matters. But at the same time, completing a paper also matters, because had I attempted all the questions, I could have been probably ranked 41 instead of 241. So you have to strike a balance, and that is one big lesson that I learned from this exam. Now, after discussing prelims and mains, I will briefly discuss the interview strategy. I think interview is the most whimsical part of this examination. But preparation includes reading 2 newspapers, watching a news show, again big picture can help, going through your DAF systematically, word by word, term by term, and fourth, many mock tests. That will really help. However, as far as my interview is concerned, it was nothing what I expected. It was very different from what I had prepared. But still, I could score a 190 plus, probably the highest my interview board gave anyone. And what helped me the most in the interview were 2 things. First, the personality that I have developed over the years, because it is ultimately a personality test and not an interview. And second, presence of mind. They can ask very simple and unexpected questions. For example, while we were having a very intense discussion of India, China and democracy, suddenly there was a question on what is the color of my sari. मैंने लाइफ में नहीं इमेजिन किया था कि IAS के इंटरव्यू में ये क्वेश्चन पूछा जाएगा. So I think they are just checking your presence of mind, how immediately you are able to switch, how well you respond or react to every question that they ask. Now, this was about the strategy for prelims, mains and interview. Lastly, I would like to discuss what beyond studies, because it is much more than that. You have to have right attitude. So first thing will be have belief, have faith in it. One of my seniors told me, he gave me a quote while preparing for the exam, that one who thinks he can and one who thinks he can't, both are usually right. So have faith, believe, you will be able to do it. Second, जब से मैं तैयारी करने आई हूँ, जो भी टॉपर्स वीडियो देखी, टीचर्स को देखा, लगभग सब सेम ही बात करते हैं, NCERT, न्यूज़पेपर, आंसर राइटिंग. और सच में यूपीएससी की स्ट्रैटेजी कोई रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है. इट्स द एग्जीक्यूशन विच इज़ द की. सो प्लान लीनियंटली, एग्जीक्यूट ब्रूटली. आपका ज़्यादा फोकस एग्जीक्यूशन पर होना चाहिए. जब तक दिन का टारगेट नहीं खत्म होता, ट्राई नॉट टू स्लीप. प्लीज ट्राई एंड कंप्लीट योर टारगेट फॉर द डे. थर्ड थिंग, परसिवरेंस. परसिवरेंस एंड कंसिस्टेंसी का टेस्ट हमेशा हार्ड टाइम पर होता है. नॉर्मली तो हम हमारे टारगेट्स मीट कर ही लेते हैं. जस्ट अ स्मॉल इंसिडेंट. I think around October 2016, I was going through a very, very difficult phase in life and in preparation. I was suggested that I should maybe go back home, take 1-2 months break, and I realized, no, next day I have an optional test paper. And despite not feeling well, I did go and write the test paper. Somehow, I started crying. I was crying while writing the paper. The invigilator came to me and said, ma'am, there is no fixed deadline, आप कल आकर टेस्ट दे देना. बट आई वाज सो एडमेंट कि नहीं, टेस्ट तो मैं आज ही लिखूंगी. तो अगर आप हार्ड टाइम पर भी यू डोंट स्टॉप स्टडिंग, तो यू विल डेफिनेटली सेल थ्रू. शायद उस टाइम पर मैंने 10 या 12 घंटा नहीं पढ़ाई की, 5-6 घंटा ही की, बट बिकॉज मैं थमी नहीं, चलती रही, इसलिए आज डेस्टिनेशन तक पहुंच पाई. तो चलते रहो विल बी वन ऑफ द की गिविंग दैट आई कैन गिव फ्रॉम माई ओन एक्सपीरियंस. थर्ड, राइट सपोर्ट सिस्टम. मुझे लगता है हम सब हनुमान हैं जिसको उस जामवंत की ज़रूरत है जो हमें हमारी स्ट्रेंथ की, पोटेंशियल की याद दिलाते रहे. इन माई केस इट वॉज माई मदर हु स्टेड विथ मी इन Delhi ड्यूरिंग मेन्स, एंड आई थिंक शी इज़ द ओनली रीज़न आई कुड हैंडल दैट फिजिकल एंड मेंटल स्ट्रेस दैट मेन्स गिव्स यू. So right support system in terms of family and friends is very, very important. Fourth, a practical advice. It worked for me. You might choose for yourself that try and stay away from social media, at least for a year. I downloaded WhatsApp on the day of my interview because it is a distraction, especially Facebook. When you see your friends having world tours and doing so well, you feel happy for them, but you do get doubts about your own decision. So it does really help you remain focused on your own task. And last but not the least, hard work. It is very, very important. Nothing else works in this exam. Whether somebody has cleared it in first attempt or 5th attempt, सबने मेहनत की है, सबने अपनी boundaries को push किया है और इसीलिए वो select हो पाए हैं. So please keep working hard, and again, if I can do it, anybody can, all of you can. Best of luck.